Buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving headfirst into the world of electric hot hatches.
We're talking about the BYD Seal 06 GT.
Oh yeah, this one looks pretty interesting.
Especially with BYD calling it the first GT for young people.
I mean, that's a pretty bold statement, right?
Yep, it is.
But hey, we've got a stack of articles and reviews here.
We do.
So we're going to break down everything.
The specs, the tech.
How it compares to the competition, like the Volkswagen ID.3.
All that.
So by the end of this, you'll be a total BYD Seal 06 GT expert.
Sounds good.
First off, this thing just debuted at the Chengdu Auto Show in China.
Yeah, it's based on that Ocean M concept car that got some buzz earlier this
I
year.
remember seeing pictures of that.
And it's built on BYD's E-Platform 3.0 Evo architecture.
Okay, so that sounds like some serious tech.
It is. This platform is designed for high performance and efficiency.
So what does that mean in plain English?
We're talking faster motors and a really innovative cell-to-body battery design.
Oh, yeah. I read about that where they integrate the battery pack into the car's structure.
Exactly. It's a clever way to save space, improve safety, and boost the car's rigidity.
And don't forget the 800V architecture.
Right. That's a big deal for charging.
Super fast charging.
30% to 80% in just 20 minutes.
That's insane.
It's a game changer for anyone worried about range anxiety.
Totally. I mean, I'm already impressed, and we haven't even talked about power and range yet.
Well, let's talk about it then. You've got some choices. The single-motor versions offer 214 or 224 horsepower.
Not bad, but I'm guessing the dual motor is the one to watch.
You bet. That one pumps out 415 horsepower and can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in under 5 seconds.
In a hatchback.
In a hatchback.
Wow. Now, what about range?
There are two battery options, a 59.52 kilowatt hour and a 72.96 kilowatt hour.
And those give you?
Up to 375 miles of range, according to the Chinese test cycle.
Well, what about real-world range?
Our sources suggest it's likely to be around 450 kilometers on the WLTP cycle, which is used in Europe and other regions.
And more like 280 miles or so.
Give or take, depending on driving conditions and other factors.
Still pretty solid. All right, so we've covered the tech, the power, the range. Now let's talk about looks. What does this hot hatch look like?
Well, from the pictures and descriptions we've seen, it's got a sleek, sporty exterior with a sculpted hood, a dynamic grille, and these really distinctive full-width taillights.
Yeah, those taillights definitely stand out.
And in terms of size, it's a bit bigger than the Volkswagen ID.3, but more comparable to the Kia EV6 and Hyundai Ioniq U5.
So it's got a decent footprint, but not too bulky.
Right. A good balance between spaciousness and maneuverability.
Okay, so we've seen the outside. Let's take a peek inside. What's the interior like?
It looks pretty modern and tech-focused. They've got this 2+1 setup with a 10.25-inch digital instrument cluster, a 15.6-inch adaptive rotating infotainment screen, and a 12-inch heads-up display.
Hold on, you say rotating?
Yeah, the infotainment screen rotates.
That's pretty cool. Plus you get two interior color options, shell white and twilight blue.
They're definitely paying attention to the details that can personalize the driving experience.
Now, this sounds fantastic, but let's talk about the elephant in the room, the price.
Ah, yes, the price. This is where it gets really interesting. The Seal 06 GT is launching in China with a starting price of around $21,000 US. Seriously. That's incredibly competitive, especially considering all the tech and performance it offers.
I mean, that's practically half the price of the Volkswagen ID.3 GTX in Germany.
Right, which starts at around $57,200.
So the big question is, how will BYD price it for the European launch?
That's the million-dollar question. If they can keep it competitive, they could really shake things up in the market.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. All right, so we've got a good overview of the BYD Seal 06 GT. Now let's dig a little deeper and see how it stacks up against the competition.
Sounds like a plan. All right, so let's put the BYD Seal 06 GT head-to-head with its biggest rival, the Volkswagen ID.3.
Yeah, let's see how they measure up.
First up size, the Seal 06 GT is actually a bit bigger.
So a little more room to stretch out.
Exactly. It's a little longer and wider, which could mean more space for passengers and cargo.
That's a win for families or anyone who likes to haul stuff around.
Yeah, let's talk performance. This is where it gets interesting.
Lay it on me.
The dual-motor Seal 06 GT blows the ID.3 GTX out of the water when it comes to acceleration.
Really?
0 to 100 kilometers per hour in under 5 seconds for the Seal.
Wow.
Compared to around 6 seconds for the ID.3 GTX.
That's a pretty significant difference.
It shows that BYD isn't just focused on efficiency. They want this car to be fun to drive.
And speaking of being competitive, what about the price?
Well, if BYD can keep their pricing strategy aggressive in Europe, the Seal '06 GT could be significantly cheaper than the ID.3.
That would be a huge selling point.
Especially for people who are new to EVs and maybe a little hesitant about the price tag.
I mean, price is always a big factor when you're buying a car.
Absolutely. Now, something I noticed while reading these articles is how BYD is really pushing their ocean branding for these EVs.
Yeah, I saw that too. The dolphin, the seal, the Sealion. It's like a whole underwater world.
It's a clever way to connect with ideas of sustainability and being environmentally conscious.
And it makes them stand out from other car companies.
Right. It's not just about the tech, it's about the image, too.
I like it. It's a bit more playful and fun.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift gears for a minute and dive deeper into the tech behind the Seal '06 GT.
We touched on the E-Platform 3.0 Evo, but there's a lot more to unpack there.
There is. One of our sources even said it features more than 13 world-first hardcore technologies.
Whoa, okay, now I'm intrigued.
And one of the most innovative things is that cell-to-body battery design.
Where the battery pack is actually part of the car's structure.
Exactly. It's not just some separate component bolted on.
So what are the advantages of that?
Well, for starters, it saves space and weight, which is always important in an EV.
Makes sense.
But it also makes the whole car stronger and safer.
Plus, it frees up more room for passengers and cargo.
It's a really clever engineering solution.
BYD is really thinking outside the box here.
They are, and that's what makes them so interesting to watch.
So we've talked about the tech, the performance, the price. But what about the actual driving experience?
Ah, the most important part.
What's it like to get behind the wheel of a Seal '06 GT?
Well, from what we've gathered, it's a pretty sporty and engaging ride.
In a good way, I hope.
Oh, definitely. That electric powertrain delivers instant torque, so acceleration is really responsive.
No lag.
None. And since the battery is in the floor, the car has a low center of gravity.
So it handles well.
Like it's on rails. Plus, it's super quiet.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about EVs.
No engine noise, just a smooth, peaceful ride.
Sounds like a dream.
It's pretty close. So, it seems like BYD has really considered every aspect of the driving experience.
They're not just building EVs, they're creating a whole new way to think about driving.
I agree. Okay, now let's zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture. What does the Seal '06 GT tell us about BYD's overall strategy?
Good question.
I think it's pretty clear they're aiming for global leadership in the EV market.
They want to be a major player.
Exactly, and they're doing it by combining innovation, affordability, and sustainability.
That's a pretty powerful combination.
It is. It appeals to a wide range of people.
And it makes them a force to be reckoned with.
You got that right. They're shaking things up and making the EV world a lot more interesting.
This is definitely an exciting time to be following the EV market.
It is. BYD is one to watch.
For sure. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, but there are still some unanswered questions about the Seal '06 GT, especially when it comes to its global launch.
Right. Things like charging infrastructure, specific features for different markets' production capacity.
We've got a lot more to discuss.
We do. So in the final part of our deep dive, we'll tackle those remaining questions and explore what the future holds for this exciting new EV.
All right, so we've talked about the design, the performance, the tech, but as with any new car, especially one going global, there are always some lingering questions.
Absolutely. Especially those little details that can really make or break a car in different markets.
Like charging, for example.
Yeah, exactly. We know it has that awesome 800V architecture for super fast charging.
But what about the actual charging infrastructure out there in the real world?
Ah, that's a big one. Charging infrastructure is different everywhere you go.
It's not universal yet.
Nope. So BYD needs to make sure the Seal '06 GT can handle all the different charging networks.
Otherwise, you could pull up to a charger and be totally out of luck.
Imagine that frustration. You're all ready to charge and oops, it doesn't fit.
That wouldn't be good.
Not at all. And it's not just compatibility either. The availability of fast chargers varies a lot from place to place too.
So range anxiety could still be a factor depending on where you live.
Exactly. BYD needs to keep all that in mind as they roll this car out globally.
It's all about making the EV experience as smooth and painless as possible.
Exactly. It should be easy and convenient.
And what about the features themselves? Will they be the same everywhere?
That's another good question. We talked about all that cool tech.
Yeah. But will there be differences in driver assistance systems or language options?
Or even things like heated seats and steering wheels. Those little creature comforts.
Yeah, those are important too.
They are. Car makers often have to tweak things based on what people want in different regions.
So we might see different versions of the Seal '06 GT, depending on where it's sold.
That's a definite possibility, and it'll be interesting to see how BYD balances global demands with their core design.
Now, another question I have is about production. Can BYD actually make enough of these cars to meet global demand,
Production capacity. That's a challenge for any car maker these days.
especially in the EV market, which is growing so
It
fast?
is. You've got supply chain issues, battery production, finding enough skilled workers.
It's a lot to juggle.
It is. And if they don't get it right, they could end up with long wait times for customers.
Which nobody wants.
Nope. Nobody wants to wait forever for their shiny new car.
And speaking of customers,
Mm.
what about after-sales service and support?
That's huge, especially for a brand that's still relatively new in many parts of the world.
They need to build trust.
Exactly. They need to have a good network of dealerships and service centers.
It's not enough to just sell the cars. You got to be there for people after the sale.
It's all about building relationships and showing that you're committed to that market for the long haul.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that the BYD Seal 06 GT has a ton of potential.
It does. It's exciting.
But there are some big challenges ahead, too.
There are, but, BYD is a bold and innovative company,
They're definitely not afraid to shake things up.
and that makes them a fascinating company to watch.
So the big question is, will the Seal 06 GT live up to the hype?
Will it be a game changer in the electric hot hatch market?
Only time will tell.
But one thing is certain, the EV landscape is getting a whole lot more interesting with BYD in the mix.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the car's design to its performance to the challenges it faces going global.
It's been a wild ride.
And we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of the BYD Seal 06 GT.
We encourage you to keep exploring and stay curious about the amazing world of electric vehicles.
Who knows, maybe one day you'll be cruising around in the Seal 06 GT yourself.
That would be pretty cool.
Till next time, keep those wheels turning and stay charged up about the future of EVs.